Apparently it's a fake! I was really looking forward to going to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Oh well, guess I gotta settle for reviewing My Hero Academia Manga Chapter 309. Alright, let's do it after the intro. Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, wait one second, Big Blue Drew 97 here, coming at you with another My Hero Academia manga chapter review, this time reviewing manga chapter 309 of My Hero Academia. Not sure if I said that multiple times, but it doesn't matter because when it comes to this chapter, it's not as exciting as the last chapter, but there's a certain part in this chapter that just makes me so giddy to see and read, and it puts a better context on the type of person that Deku is, both literally and figuratively. And before we get more into the actual review, I'd like to ask you, if you haven't done so, to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Big Blue Drew 97. If you like this type of content with my Hero Academia reviews, the spoilers, the reactions, subscribe to my YouTube channel while hitting that notification button and that bell. And without the way, let's get started. So, to start off this chapter, we get actually two familiar faces from Ketsubutsu Academy. Two characters that we actually saw during the provisional license exams. The first one is Koteki Itejiro, and the second one is Makabe Shikui, also known as Boomerang Man and Mr. Smith. And they're also third-year students, the same as Tatami as well as Yoshindo, but they see a particular individual flying through the air, and in actuality, it is Deku carrying the body of Muscular. And from here, we get a few pages just focusing on Tatami and Yoshindo and their interactions with the people that were left behind in this building, where you have Tatami who's like, man, I never really got to thank them, as we get the civilians who are in this building who are coming to basically help her with Yoshindo. They said that they're going to help her because they know that she can't just carry him by herself, but that they're going to try and treat him to the best of their ability as long as they would cooperate with them and respect their decisions to stay. Which is very interesting because from what I thought was going to actually happen was that because of what Deku did and like their abilities to be heroes, that the people would just be looking at them and it's like, oh wow, yeah, I guess you guys were right, I guess we'll follow you. But no, it's a little bit more complicated than that. They're like, okay, we understand that y'all are heroes, we'll help you as long as like you respect our decisions. Like we understand what you're doing, it's just that we still want to do our own thing. And I think I find that interesting because it shows that it's not going to be like a one-time thing. It's not going to just take one hero or one incident or one thing to really change the hearts of all of these people instantaneously. That is going to require time and a lot more effort for people to begin to trust heroes even more. And this is a good way of showing it that just because Deku is the main protagonist and because he beats down the villains doesn't mean that the people will inherently change their ideals. So that's very interesting. And also what is very interesting is that we have Yo recognize that the person who saved him now was the same kid that saved him during the provisional license exam, but he makes a specific comment about how he looks the same, but he feels totally different. And even though he's like, yo, I'm pretty sure I saw him, but like, are they actually different people? And it could be because Deku has, I don't know, grown up a little bit. I mean, the title of the chapter is Don't Be a Kid Anymore, or something to that extent. Yeah, I can't stay being a child, so, you know, maybe that's going to play a part in this chapter in the story moving forward. Maybe. But yeah, we have Deku, once again, carrying Muscular's body to the police, dropping him off like he's just a bag of garbage as he immediately leaves without being questioned. Because, I mean, what are the police going to do? Stop him? He can move faster than most likely a speeding bullet. They're not going to catch him. But what is very interesting, though, is that as he's getting away, he gets a call as he's also bringing up the idea that, oh, danger sense has calmed down. Meaning that a few things. A, he's getting a call, but B, it shows that he doesn't have full control over danger sense. Like, it isn't something that he can actively use. So this is very interesting because it shows that this is going to be a different type of training for this quirk, that he cannot just actively use it. It's something that happens and he has to be able to react to it, and that he doesn't have full control over it. So that's very interesting. But the second thing that is interesting is that he receives a phone call from a particular individual, and that person is none other than All Might, wearing some very slick shades and a nice jacket. Man, All Might, you looking good. But yeah, we get the reintroduction of All Might, Toshinori Yagi, back into the scene, and this is very interesting because for the most part, we all thought that Deku was working alone, working as a vigilante, a solo hero, ridding the streets of crime and filth. But from what we get in this chapter and the next few panels, no, he's actually not working by himself. He's actually working very closely with All Might, as well as some other pro heroes. And from what we have with this one scene, we just basically have Deku and All Might talking. All Might is very concerned about Deku. He's very worried about if he got injured. Deku is fine. He says that he's all good. But we also get a slight reveal of like the armbands that were on Deku's arms. Because as we saw when it comes to his costume, that he had these specific armbands that he didn't have in his normal costumes. And for me, I'm like, oh, that seems weird. Is that like wrappings for his arm because his arms are severely injured and he can't really move them without them? No, that's not the case. In actuality, we're revealed that they're actually support items that are called stabilizing mid-gauntlets. And this is very interesting for a few reasons. One is basically explain that with these gauntlets, they're able to basically stabilize Deku's arms and reinforce them so that he's able to deliver harder hits without, destroying his arms, which, if you've read My Hero Academia, you would understand that Deku has a tendency of destroying his body, so having some type of support item that supports his arms and prevents that from happening is very useful. But what is also very interesting about this, in another way, is that these arms are very reminiscent of the gauntlets that Melissa Shield created in the Two Heroes movie, which could be where this is tying into, because it is also stated in this chapter that before a travel band, that's realistic as I don't know what, but before a travel ban where people can't come and leave Japan, that All Might was able to get these gauntlets beforehand, so that's why Deku has them. So All Might was on the ball, like asking someone in America, most likely David Shield, about creating these support items for Deku so that he's able to basically have his arms be in a way that aren't going to be destroyed when he uses One for All. As All Might basically tells Deku that he shouldn't overdo it and that he should continuously use them until the final battle, where he will most likely not have a whole lot of damage. So basically these gauntlets are a way to secure that Deku doesn't wreck his body anymore, which he definitely does need because he always wrecks his body. And so yeah, after we get this conversation between Deku and All Might, a few things happen. Deku once again has his danger sense going off, as well as All Might gets a call from Hawks, and we see that Hawks is also working together with All Might and Deku, as well as we also see both Endeavor and Best Genius helping to take out Anomu, as basically have Hawks and All Might begin a relatively important conversation with each other. So basically Hawks is trying to intel and try to get an understanding of how Deku is doing at this moment, and unfortunately he's not really doing that well because he is now gone, because as soon as All Might got the call, because Deku's danger sense went off, he went out of his way to go wherever it was to most likely fight crime, as we get this short conversation between both Hawks and All Might, where Hawks is basically asking All Might, says hey, yeah, All Might, you need to be really be working with us. We understand what you're doing, you just need to work together with us. We need to work together as a team. And that's basically the gist of what Hawks is saying, and it's very important because, yeah, they really do need to work with each other. Deku is the target for Shigaraki and All for One, and All Might told Hawks and Best Genius about One for All, so now they're all in this type of small group of people that know Deku's actual heart, and they need to work together to ensure that not only is Deku safe, but all of Hero Society is also safe, because they don't want this power to fall in the hands of a crazy maniacal madman. So it makes sense that they should be working together. And weirdly enough, from this conversation, we actually go into a flashback that basically covers the rest of this chapter, and it particularly focuses at the moment that Deku wakes up from his coma. So We flash back to the moment, most likely right before Deku wakes up, or at the very least, we flash back to the moment where Deku gets the cast off of his arms and his legs, and we see this one panel of him just like flexing his body, stretching his arms and his legs, making sure that everything is working together. But then we have a doctor come into the fray, and I'm just going to call him Dr. Mario because he looks like a Mario and he's a doctor. But what is very interesting is what this doctor tells to Deku. He basically tells Deku that, yeah, you remember that time where we told you that if you destroyed your body to the same extent as you did right now, that you won't be able to use your arms anymore? Yeah, that was wrong? And to explain exactly what he means, he basically goes into this idea that in the past we told you that if you sustain these injuries, you won't be able to, like, really move your arms anymore. But something is different, like your body is different, either it's a side effect of your quirk or something else, but your literal internal structures were protected while your outside was damaged in comparison to what happened the first time you did this, which your entire arm was completely wrecked. So basically, what he comes to a conclusion is that his injuries he sustained and the anatomy of his body is completely different. As we get this panel of like seeing Deku when he first injured his body at 5%, and now we know he can access 45%, and the damages are completely, like, not necessarily mitigated, but lessened to a significant degree. And this is something interesting because this could mean that the more that Deku unlocks One For All, the more that it would physically change his body to the point where once he actually unlocks 100%, his body would be able to fully endure the power of One For All. And this is something interesting because this ties into an idea that I have about the quirk of One For All and the reasoning why it was been doing damage to him in the first place. And it could be due to the fact that when One For All became All Might's quirk, it immediately adjusted to his body and like allowed him to access 100% without damaging him. But because the quirk of One For All was now All Might and was given to a quirkless Deku, it's not that he was given the quirk of One For All, but he was given All Might's quirk of One For All, and because of that, it was unable to like adjust to his body immediately in the same vein because it has now like become a quirk of All Might instead of Deku's quirk, which also either he unlocks 100% and it becomes fully compatible with his body, or another side effect is that if All Might dies, then it would automatically be adjusted to Deku's body, even if like he unlocks 75%, if All Might dies, then he could unlock 100% and will fully adjust his body. Basically, what this is saying is that One For All as a quirk is literally changing Deku's body, which means that now he can use more output without taking a whole lot of damage. It'll still hurt him a lot, and if he doesn't do it correctly, it will still mess him up, but now he doesn't necessarily have to worry about him not having real use in his arms, and that's an interesting idea that I did not expect from the story. I either thought that there were either going to be some BS reasoning for why Deku arms aren't broken, even though they said that he would, and this isn't really a BS reason because we know for a fact that quirks change the physical body, and that with All Might, he was someone who was quirkless that gained the quirk, and for most people, quirks are adjusted to a person's body through birth, through genetics. So it's very interesting to see an explanation like this, and it kind of makes sense. So yeah, this is what like really excited me about this chapter. But what is even more exciting, or in some cases very much sad, is what comes next after this major reveal. After the major reveal that Deku's body is just built differently, we get the next few pages where we basically get Inko, Deku's mom, basically begin to understand everything that has happened so far, with All Might telling her pretty much what One For All is and explaining to him like what's going on with Deku. And like any sane mother, or really any great mother would do, she panics for the most part. She's trying to understand everything that's going on. She's like, people are trying to kill my son, but what's going to happen? Are you going to protect him like you said? And she's just having all of these thoughts, and All Might's like, oh yeah, don't worry. We're going to protect him at UA. But Deku interjects, and he says, oh, no, I won't be going back to UA. And everyone is just shocked by this, specifically All Might, who's like, oh, wow. You already made your decision. Okay. as he basically gives his explanation of like, yeah, Shigaraki has the ability to find me. He can launch an attack at any time, and I don't want to see people that I care about hurt anymore, so I'm going to leave UA. And this is where we get like just the heartbreaking section where Deku's like, he has to make sure that Shigaraki doesn't become perfect, and if he does, he has to like take them down. And this is where you have Inko, who's like, but then what are you gonna do? How are you gonna stop him? And his answer is just, oh, I'm just gonna get stronger. And then from here, we just see Inko just breaking down. And she's like, but I can't allow this. Like, is that your plan? I can't believe it. I don't want you to do this, as we see that she's beginning to cry. But Deku, showing that he has matured a lot, is basically telling his own mother, it's like, it's fine. I appreciate that everything that you have done, and I was happy, but I have to do this. So all I want to say is thank you for saving me. It's just a very emotional moment where Deku is just talking to his mother and saying that he's going to be back and that she doesn't worry, as they're reminiscing about the time where he was playing All Might and they were having this fun time, as we see like them in their young age juxtaposed with how they are now, as we see that Inko is crying but Deku is not. And I think this is where the idea of the chapter of this the title of this chapter comes into play, where it's like, I can't stay a kid anymore, because Deku is now taking on this responsibility. He understands like that people are going to go after them, that people that he care about can get hurt, and that he cannot just be this optimistic kid anymore. He has to go his own way. He has to spread his wings. He has to break away from his mother to protect her, even if it's against his own mother's wishes. This is showing how much Deku has grown, because when you really think about it, in an emotional scene like this, what is the first thing that people would say that Deku would be doing right now? That's right, crying. But no, he's not crying. If anything, he's doing the opposite. He's smiling and he's comforting his mother in this time of need. And I feel as if this is like the pinnacle of like showing that Deku has grown, not necessarily through character development per se, but he's just grown as a person, to the point where now he's able to comfort his mother in the same way that she was able to comfort him. So yes, we have that very emotional scene with all of the emotions coming out of Deku, as we get All Might, who basically has a similar conviction as well, when he remembers what he told Inko at the time after the Kibito incident, where he said that for the most part that he would protect Izuku. And he basically says that he's going to come along with Deku, that if Deku's going to leave UA, that he's going to be by his side. As we cut over to Best Jeanist, Hawks, and Endeavor basically just standing in a room. Best Jeanist is holding his phone. Real weird, like, I'll say that. But basically what he says is something interesting. He basically says that he understands that Deku is being used as bait to track down Shigaraki, but that he, as well as Hawks and Endeavor, just need to work together and stay close as possible to him, just in case something goes wrong. And for the most part, nothing has gone wrong yet. But as we continue this flashback, we actually cut over to a scene that most people really wanted to happen, because we see Deku talking to Gran Torino. And we don't get to see the actual explanation, but for the most part, Deku basically tells Gran Torino everything that happened with Nana Shimura, as he basically like chastises her like, even crying in the afterlife. But it's very weird, because he's not just like being like funny. It's like, Nana Shimura is crying in the afterlife, ha ha ha. But he basically is like, yeah, you're crying in the afterlife, but I'm still here, so you know, I ain't dead yet, as a way of like trying to comfort Deku. But he also gives like a piece of advice to him as well, and it's like, kid, I understand, but you need to realize something. You need to not be so over-reliant on trying to like save Shigaraki, because sometimes death is a form of salvation. As he begins to give Deku, Gran Torino begins to give Deku his cape, and it's like, don't you ever forget that. And this is very impactful, because this could mean that Deku could kill Shigaraki, and that killing Shigaraki could be a form of saving him. So this is actually putting like a little bit more of nuances onto how Deku is actually going to defeat Shigaraki. Is he going to straight up kill him, or is he going to like save him in a way that doesn't like allow Shigaraki to die? Because with this piece of dialogue, it could imply that Deku could kill Shigaraki as a form of salvation, either on purpose or by Shigaraki accepting death himself. So it's very interesting that this could be like the groundwork to the end of the series and how Deku is going to handle defeating Shigaraki, either through death or through saving him completely without having to kill him. So yeah, that's very interesting. But now we get to the final part of this chapter where we just get like a big page where we get to see all of the top 3 heroes, All Might and Deku, becoming a team as the chapter ends, as they said that they're ready to pay the favor to the League of Villains. I don't know what that means. Could we immediately cut over to the League of Villains fighting against the heroes? I hope that's not the case, because I think that that is forcing the story to move faster than it should be. But I think this type of ending gives a resolve that we aren't going to be focusing on Deku for a while, and that from here we're most likely going to transition over to most likely the academia part of My Hero, because, you know, still My Hero Academia, and I think this is like putting like the exclamation point on that. Yes, Deku is still going to be in the story. He's still the main character. He's working with the other pro heroes to stop the League of Villains, but we need to take the focus away from him now, because we've had like 4 chapters of just focusing on Deku being a hero. But we're most likely now going to cut back over to the academia, the schooling part, and see what's been happening with the other students, if they're still in class, or if they're doing like the 3rd years at Kietsu, whatever the academy is, and they're now actively being heroes in the field. I hope that's the case. I really hope that we don't just right into Deku and these pro heroes fighting off the League, fighting off the Paranormal Liberation Army, because it would mean that we're really close to the end of My Hero Academia, and I am not emotionally ready for it. So yeah, when it comes to this chapter, I think this was a really good chapter of My Hero Academia. We got like a little bit tidbits of information drop about how One For All is literally changing Deku's anatomy. We also get the confirmation that Deku is now working with All Might as well as the top 3 pro heroes in the team up, and how they're going to try to stay together and using Deku as bait. So that's very interesting. As well as we got to see just an emotional moment between Deku and his mother, showing that Deku has grown into a different person. He has grown more. He has matured. He's no longer the quote-unquote crybaby that everyone say that he is. He's, for the most part, a young man trying to do his best, doing what he believes is right to save people and to make sure that everyone is safe, including his mother. And that's just a wonderful sentiment to have in any form of medium, showing the child being able to be more mature and being able to in some way take care of their parents. That's very loving. I can really relate to that, and I really do enjoy that part of this chapter. So yeah, that's all I can really say about this chapter. Hopefully you enjoyed this chapter. I really did. Leave a comment down below what you thought of this chapter, and question of the day, what do you think of Deku's new body? Do you think that he's built differently? What do you think's going on with One For All and changing Deku's body? I may have a discussion about this in a different video, explaining my thoughts more thoroughly about it, but why don't you leave your thoughts down below. Leave a like on this video if you liked it, subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the notification bell for whenever I upload videos, and do all that cool jazz, and hopefully I can catch you all in the next video. Goodbye! Where's that stupid snippet? I'm gonna cut it up.